online marketing trainer and success coach. And today I want to talk a little bit about my story, how I got started in this thing called entrepreneurship. You know, it's pretty funny. I tell people entrepreneurship chose me. I don't think I really had much of a choice in the matter. I used to work as a controller for a manufacturing firm, and, during that time, I was going back to school. I started doing a lot of things and decided that I, was going to further my education so I can become a lawyer. And then the bottom fell out. I remember at one point in time, my mother had a car accident, and then 2 weeks later, my husband at the time had a car accident. And all at the same time, I had left the getting ready to leave the company I was with, and just thought that everything was going to be okay. And so at first, I decided that the company that I was working for decided that they wanted to be bought out, that the owners decided that they wanted to sell. So I did all of the due diligence so that they could become a publicly held company. And I tried to stay, but didn't feel the same, didn't want to be there. So it really was time to go. So I decided that I needed a resume. And I had worked at this company for like 9 years, almost 10 years. And when I went to get the resume done, I went to a professional resume company because I didn't, at that point in time, writing a resume was like the last thing I wanted to have to do. So I did an interview with this company. We did the resume. He sent it to me. And as he sent it to me, he's like, Tina, what did you think about the resume? And I was like, well, yeah, it was pretty good, but not real sure who you were writing about because you wasn't writing about me. It's like, what do you mean? I was like, I didn't do half of the stuff. I can't send out a resume for something I didn't do. He was like, you did. He was like, don't you remember the interview that you did? And I was like, yeah, I do remember the interview, but I didn't do that stuff. And so, we went back and forth, and then he really described to me, he was like, you did really do this stuff, Tina. Maybe it's just the words that I use. So, when the company was being bought out, based on the way we packaged the information, we kind of took that up from like, a 33% increase. And so I never thought of it that way, that the 33% increase in the purchase price of a company going public. And he was like, you don't realize how big of an accomplishment that is. So he went down the resume and he showed me how what I said in my interview equated to what was on that paper. And so he said, the other thing, Tina, I want to let you know is I've given it to a headhunter and I already have 2 jobs lined up for you. As a matter of fact, they're ready to do a telephone interview. Based on that, they want to fly you out. And so I was like in awe because I couldn't believe that this was happening. The first company comes in out of Ohio, somewhere like that, Cincinnati, somewhere, Dayton, can't remember, somewhere in that area. And I do this telephone interview. I'm on the phone with one of their execs for like 20 minutes. And he immediately offers me $150,000, told me, they would relocate my family. They would do all of these things, and I couldn't believe that they were offering me $150,000. The second company offered me $167,000. Funny thing is I couldn't take it. I still could not equate to that person that they put on paper. I had accomplished all of these things, but I'm one of those kind of people that believe you just keep your head down and work. You don't need to go and kind of blab all over the world, who you are, what you've done. I just believe you just keep your head down and you work. And so somewhere it just wasn't aligned for me to make that they were willing to almost increased my salary by like 50%. I had made six figures. I made six figures including bonuses. So now my base was going to be 150,000. There was just that was like way too big of a jump that I couldn't even imagine. I know a lot of people say that they could have done it, but I couldn't. So I did not take the job. I was afraid of failing. I was afraid that I would move my family all the way out there and then wouldn't be successful at the job. So I declined the position. And, even though I continued to leave, the company that I worked for said, you know what, we know the perfect family that you can go work for. So they actually got me my next job. I get there, my mother is getting sicker. Again, she had that car accident, then now she has a stroke. And so I'm working, I'm trying to be loyal, but now I'm late all the time. I'd rather be home tending to my family instead of at work. And that made me decide that entrepreneurship had to be for me. I worked very hard to have the reputation that I had, to be able to go in and really work strategically to make the best, whatever effort I put in became, a great thing. And I just wasn't going to have that ruined because, there's days that I couldn't get to work on time. So I decided that it was going to be best for me to begin to work from home or to start my own businesses. And so first one, I started two kind of at the same time. I'm one of those kind of people that have to have a whole bunch of balls juggling. Just doesn't seem to work unless I have a lot of balls in the air. And I've released that though. But so I started a company, I bought a franchise, and I started a hair salon. And when I started the franchise, I was so excited. I went out, got all the training, came back, was ready to get it all up and running. And lo and behold, there was a lot of pieces of that puzzle not in place. When I thought of a franchise, I thought of McDonald's. No matter what McDonald's you go to across the country, you're going to get the French fries the same way. The chicken nuggets are going to be the same way. So I thought if I bought a franchise, I was going to have a system that's already proven, that's already done. And honestly, it just wasn't that way. There was a huge obstacle before I could even get my business up and running. And I had to figure that out. So here I put in a lot of money to buy a franchise for a company I couldn't even start. And then I had my hair salon. And the hair salon was good. It was good for a long time. The problem is, most people know what they know. So my employees that were, that did hair, nails, skin, massage, barbers, it didn't matter. Barbers, women, cosmetologists, they knew how to do hair, but they didn't know how to run a business and they didn't know how to market. And that wasn't their job. That was my job. So for a long time, it worked very well because, being the owner, I can come and do the marketing in the middle of the night. I could do, come run the business as I needed to, but I wasn't wasn't there all the time. And then my mom became sicker. She had her second stroke. And so I wasn't there to run my business and I wasn't there to market it. So that business began to fail. And so lo and behold, I found myself at home, taking care of my mother, marriage is failing, and, trying to figure out where am I going to go from here. And then my daughter has a baby, so now I'm a grandmother and I'm taking care of my granddaughter so she can go to school. And I'm taking care of my mother. And this is all I'm really doing all day, except for the fact that a lot of the people that I worked for or with was calling me, asking me for advice. which was the craziest thing because I didn't know how I was going to pay my electric bill, but yet I'm giving advice to companies that, had millions and millions of dollars. And so finally a light bulb went off and was like, every time they call, you should be asking for money. They need to pay you for the advice that they're seeking. And so I started consulting, and, it was really just a side gig. I went back to all of the people that I had worked for, and I, started telling them, now I'm consulting, these are the things I'm doing. So, when I worked for someone, I did a lot of IT stuff. I managed telephone systems, computer systems across locations, built infrastructures, ran accounting departments, could tell people what their break even is and all of that kind of stuff. So I just, the low hanging fruit was the people I used to work for, because they already know my work ethic. They already know how well, or, I'm that type A personality that I'm going to go for it. And so every one of them hired me. So literally now I'm feeling a little better because now I'm starting to make money, but I didn't even know what my worth was at that point in time because I didn't ask for enough. But, that's a whole nother story. So we started there, and then, that would happen. It would be sporadic, but I would get projects all of the time. Only certain times would I be out of work because I didn't really advertise. I just went back to the people that I previously worked for. So, when you only do that and you're not marketing yourself, you have business now, and then you go through a dry spot. Then, okay, they call and they give you business again, and then you go through a dry spot. And so during that time, I started playing online. I looked into a lot of different online systems, became part of one of the communities that I'm still a part of today, learned about all of the things that they were doing. And so I started playing with that. And I remember there was a guy that said, hey, what do you know about online marketing and this, that, and the other? I was like, I know a little bit. And I said, but you know what? I'm willing to try something, and let me try it with you. Didn't charge him anything. The next thing I know, he made a lot of money. And so then I said, oh, okay, well, it worked one time. And I went and I tried it again. And again, I didn't really charge anything. And I said, if you make money, this time I at least said you're going to give me something for it. I said, if you make money, then you're going to come back and you're going to give me $500. And it was less than 2 weeks. This guy came back, gave me $500. He said, you should have asked for $5,000. I was like, oh, okay. That was, another lesson, because I just still wasn't asking for enough. But lo and behold, that's really how I got, involved in being in business for myself. It wasn't because I just chose it. It was because I felt it chose me. And then I realized I was able to be there for my family more because I worked for myself. I didn't have anyone telling me what time I had to go to work, what time I could leave, when I could take off, when I couldn't. But yet on the other side, I had to bring it. If I don't go out and find business, we don't eat. So, it definitely is a balance. But when you're looking for a way out, I know a lot of people right now are in jobs that they can't stand. And I'm lucky to say I love what I do. I get up every day and I'm happy. Every time that phone rings and it's somebody needing help, it just lights me up in a way that never has. And it didn't just happen all at once, though. It happened gradually because I made a lot of mistakes. Like, first and foremost, I didn't market. When I did this, I never did I think that this was going to be my full-time gig. I thought it was just going to be what I did on the side. It would always give me side money, and I'm always going to go work for somebody else. But then I always realized that every time I tried to go back and get a job somewhere, I realized they wanted me to punch a time clock. They wanted me to show up when they wanted me to show up. Oh, well, you got to be here at 8 o'clock. Well, 8 o'clock don't work for me because my kids don't go to school until 8:30. And, I would go and need to take off because my kid had some kind of event and you wanted me to work. So I decided I'm not missing those events anymore. I decided that I'm going to take control of my life. And so I learned more about how to market my business, how to do it online, how to take the skills, the things that I've already know, and really package it. I went back to the time when that headhunter had presented me with the two offers, the one for $150,000 and $167,000. And I said, okay, what did they see that I'm not seeing that they're willing to give me $150,000 a year? Because if they're willing to give it to me, then I can find a client who's willing to give it to me too. And so that's what I did. I went and found, I went back and I read that resume that they created, and I was like, okay, what's in this resume that's going to position me to other companies and help me. And I shot this video for you today because I know the job market out there is really still kind of crazy. So, you know, the employers are still really gun shy. So where they may have could have carried 1,000 employees, right now they may only want to carry 600. And their revenue streams could be building, but they would rather do it with independent contractors than doing it with a traditional employee, because all of the debt load that comes with a traditional employee. But that doesn't mean that they don't have projects that you could be doing for them right now, and they're willing to pay handsomely for it. And I found that niche, those companies that still have a lot of work, but do not want to load up on the middle management, those are the companies that I could concentrate on. And those are the companies you can concentrate on too, because you might think it's only business consulting, but I mean, I know people that do some crazy stuff and they're still able to find companies that want their services, and they could want your services too. So you can begin to think outside of the box on how you can learn and leverage what you already know, the skills you already have, and actually make a lot of money at it. So if that's something that you want to do, you want to go and sign up for Amplify Your Expertise. And this is at amplifyyourexpertise.com. In that series, I talk a lot about how to position you to get in front of these companies so that you can make more money. The story of one of my clients, when he came to me because he had been working for the same company for 17 years. And in 2009, the beginning of 2009, the company came to him and said, you have a choice. We can either lay you off, or you can take a 25% pay reduction. So when you start getting a little bit older, you start having these fears that are running through your head. And one of them is, I can't start over. And because you have that fear in your head, guess which one you're liable to take? It's the same one he took. He decided that he's going to take that 25% decrease. His mortgage didn't go down 25% though. Neither did the cost of eggs, bacon, milk. You know, those things continue to rise. But now, it was funny when we talked, he says, you know, Tina, that's how much I made 10 years ago. So now he's trying to pay his today bills with how much he made 10 years ago. And I almost want to bet that a lot of you that are watching this video are in the same predicament. You know, you bought into the American dream. You bought into, you're supposed to get a good education or you get a trade. You bought into, after you do that, you go find a job with a nice corporation because you're going to get all of these benefits and you're going to stay there until you retire. You go buy a house. You have 2.5 kids. You get the picket fence. And then the bottom falls out. you're sitting there and you're wondering, where did I go wrong? How is it that I'm in this position? How is it that I feel I did everything that they told me I'm supposed to do, but yet I can't pay my bills? And then you begin to live in this numbness, this feeling of, I have nothing else to do. So you get up, you go to work, you come home, and you just feel like you can't get out of that rut. But the reason you're watching this video, because there's a little spark in there somewhere. And that spark is telling you that there has to be something better than this. And I believe there is. But I believe that you have to, I'm not asking you to quit your job. I'm asking you to set your life up. You're going to use that job as the biggest funding source in your business. And so you're going to go there, and now you're going to have a reason to get up with a smile on your face. And you're going to get up and you're going to go to that job, and you're going to love it because it's going to help fund the rest of your life. And then you're going to take a system. And you're going to say, wow, what do I know how to do? Like the back of my hand. What can I do with my eyes closed? What can I do that I can rattle off the top of my head anytime somebody asks me? What am I prepared? You know, one of the biggest sayings we all have is, don't get ready, be ready. So what's that thing? You know, for some people, it's cooking. They can cook their way out of a paper bag. For some people, it's fitness. They can teach people how to be physically fit, healthy. For some people, it's business consulting. For some people, it's online marketing. For some people, it's being there in the most trying times and lifting somebody up. That's what I make money doing every day. And you could too. So I don't know what that thing is for you. But what I'm going to tell you is, if you have that thing that you can do with your eyes closed, then you want to get in this program. So again, my name is Tina Brinkley Potts, and I hope you'll join me soon. Bye.